I don't really care to put my avatar up for this. I kind of just want to talk. So, I am a very politically informed person, I would say. I'm not the best. I'm only young and I still have a lot to learn, but I have very often in my circles have been told that I know a little bit too much about politics. So, I would say that I know a thing or two. And I have a lot to say pretty much all the time, but I never really say it. But today I just wanted to talk because this has just been something that has been frustrating me. If you didn't see, a couple of days ago, the United States struck Iran in partnership with Israel, our greatest ally, hit, I think it was a school, and we took out one of their leaders. I am not that informed on foreign policy. That's definitely a gray area for me, but I don't think I need to know too much about these conflicts to have the opinion that I have. Because since then, Iran has struck, it just keeps popping up on my Twitter feed, and I literally had to close Twitter because it's just too much. But I just constantly am seeing things that Iran is striking buildings and civilian zones, and it's just, I just can't. I can't, because it just makes me emotional. And the reason why it makes me emotional is because I am anti-war. And this is where I want to start ranting. There are so many people out there who claim that they're anti-war, but yet believe that we need to commit war actions to be anti-war. And don't get me wrong, like, I'm not going to sit here and try to act like I'm the most educated and understand these issues. But the thing that I get so frustrated about with a lot of these wars that we have is that all throughout my life, in history class and up until now, I hear that we are talking about the same things over and over and over again. This Middle Eastern country is building nuclear weapons. This Middle Eastern country has a bad dictator. This place has oil that we need. Like, it's just, I hear us talking about the same shit over and over again. And though I'll be the first person to say that not everyone is gonna like you in life, and you have to accept that, I just get so sad when I see all of these war actions happening, because, and I talk about this with my friend, like, if we lived in a John Wick style world, and now granted, I don't want to live in a world where like assassins are like out in public like fighting and shooting each other and stuff like that. That is definitely not preferable. But what I mean, in my warped mind, the ending of John Wick 4, where John Wick fights the Archduke guy or whatever, I don't remember his name, but when they fight each other at the end, I would have a lot more respect for war-like conflicts if they were handled that way. If like the leaders or the direct two people who have a disagreement duke it out or whatever, right? I would have, in my warped mind, I would have a lot more respect for that. But it's not like that. We don't live in a world. We live in a world where constantly in war, the people who face the brunt of the force are civilians, people who don't ask for this stuff, and yet they are constantly being killed. And like, the thing that sparked me to just sit in my chair and talk right now, and I'm getting emotional, but like in Austin, Texas, there were people in a bar and they were shot and killed. And it's like, I don't want to make this about me. I don't want to sit here and be like, oh, like, us Americans are scared right now because we are more in a privileged position than certainly someone in the Middle East. But it just genuinely makes me sad, because in my eyes, I'm like, this is just another example of wealthy, rich fucks who constantly have egos and believe that they need to commit war, do these things in the prospects of democracy, safety, whatever the fuck. And it's not just here, it's abroad. All of these actions are committed, and yet I very little see actions committed against military people or things like that. I just constantly see civilians dying. I mean, you can look at the statistics of how, like, in World War II, and most of the people who die are civilians. And it's like people who did not ask for this conflict, didn't ask for anything, are often the ones facing the brunt of the consequences. And it's just not fair. It's just not fair. It's just not right. And what makes me sick to my stomach is that there are people out there who justify this crap, who justify that these are actions that are for the overall good. You can never convince me that people who didn't ask for a conflict, have no involvement, are just trying to live their lives, deserve to die. That's just insane to me. Dying is just, I don't know. It's, to me, like, I think it has partly come with my personal, like, underlying fear of death. You know, it's a very morbid topic to talk about, you know, obviously. Like, people who go about their day probably don't even know these conflicts are happening, trying to do their best to just take care of their families, be good people or whatever, and they just die. And there are people who just ask for more. People in our government who just ask for more, ask for sympathy, ask for support. Like, I can never support this shit, man. I can never do it. I always have and always will be fully anti-war. And I don't think that I'll fucking say it. I don't think that I need to be super educated on foreign policy and stuff to have this opinion. And I'm always willing to have a conversation. I am always willing to be educated. I am always willing to have my mindset expanded. But anyone who comes and tries to justify to me that civilians deserve to die or that civilians are unfortunate sacrifices for the broader goal, you disgust me. You absolutely disgust me. And I don't know where we go from here, and I want to keep my little bit of optimism that I have during these times, and I want to try to be positive, but it becomes harder and harder. God, dude, I just wish that we could be better. I wish that we as a society could be better. I wish that we as people could be better, and myself included. I just wish that we as people as a whole could just expect better of ourselves and expect better of those who represent us, and not just keep being complacent with what has been and just saying that there's nothing we can do. I wish that we had more fire within our hearts to believe that there could be something better. Because though I don't believe all hope is lost, I can't help but get angry and upset when I see people who just constantly believe that the status quo should be held just because it's what we're used to. But the status quo isn't working. The status quo hasn't been working for a while, and we need change. We need some change. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I got.